Okay, so this video is going to be about the history, or pretty much my story about how I learned Spanish. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking down so I can make sure I don't talk too much or get off track. So really, I started relearning Spanish 2 years ago, but to tell you where I started from as far as like my foundation, I have to start back years and years and years ago. So I live in Texas, so por supuesto hay mucho hablantes de español aquí, and I live in the Dallas area. So por eso I took Spanish because I really just it was it was the only other language I was accustomed to, and the other one I really enjoyed anyway. My dad doesn't speak; he's not a Spanish speaker, but he taught me a few words back in the day when I was a little girl. So when I finally got to middle school, I was totally excited to take Spanish. I did really good in middle school when I took it, and even in high school. In high school, I was really good. I went up to AP Spanish. I didn't score enough to get AP scores for college, but I actually was the tesorera, the treasurer for the Spanish National Honor Society. And when I think back to what I know now, if I knew it then, I would have been fluent. It would have changed my life. I even had the opportunity to go to Spain, chicken out of it. So going into college, I was initially a nursing major, but when I changed to be a social work major, I now needed foreign language. So I had to really crash learn Spanish again. Well, I had to take it in like the summer and really fast, which wasn't a problem because I've always had a really good foundation. I did really well, like I said, when I was taking classes in Spanish. So I did really good in college as well. Even went through kind of a little phase where I really got more into the culture. I kind of spoke it a little bit, but not enough to retain it, even though I knew I was going into social work. I don't think I really knew how to actually become fluent. So it's 2020 now, amid all the COVID-19 things, to give you a kind of a landmark. So 2 years ago, in 2018, when I was at my last job, I worked for a community college, and I had a coworker who mentioned that she was going to learn Spanish, and so I had tried 2 years prior in 2016 with one of my coworkers. He's Guatemalan, and we tried to, but I couldn't remain disciplined because he and I knew each other so well. So it was so easy for me to float back to English when we would speak. So that was short lived. But one of the things I think that made the difference this time when I went into this language journey was that I really went into YouTube. I went to YouTube. I looked at so many videos, took notes this time on how people learn Spanish. And I think that's what really made the difference. I actually had a plan versus, I think 2016, it was just, hey, we'll have a conversation. And I think I was doing probably Duolingo, but that was it. That was it. This time I knew what I needed to do. And so I found a few YouTubers that I connected with, that I felt connected to, their stories, and decided I would actually create a YouTube account. That way I could actually keep a track of which videos I was actually watching. And so I found a few of those. I may list them below, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I followed them. I re-downloaded Duolingo because I realized I needed that foundation to finish that. And even when I got on Duolingo, I finished that probably within 6 or so months because I've always had a really good foundation for things in Spanish, and so I was able to move fast and test out a certain portions. But I did go through and learn it, and so during that time, when I downloaded Duolingo, my friend or my coworker and I, we solicited another coworker who's a bilingual, of Mexican origin, born in the U.S., but of Mexican roots. And so she is I think she probably was and is the biggest factor of what made a big difference. I know a lot of times people say don't talk to bilingual people, but I think what made her different is that she and I were acquaintances. So I didn't have the issue that I had previously with my last coworker. Because we were acquaintances, I really didn't know a lot about her, just more so who she was. She had a kid, she was married, and she was new to our office. And so this language journey allowed me to know her, and really get to talk with her. We talked about a lot of different things, religious things, personal things, and so we actually built a friendship. Now, and so what we decided is that we would only speak in Spanish to each other. So yes, every day, if we saw each other, it wasn't just, so, hey, how are you? It was, hola, ¿cómo está? And all those different things. And so she and I had a good time learning and becoming friends, and we're still friends now. I don't work there anymore, but that was a big thing. She actually majored in Spanish, in addition to being a native speaker. So I think the grammatics and the teaching, she doesn't teach Spanish, but I think that may be an extra factor that may make her that may have made her a really good asset to my language journey. And so that I had that probably for a good year and a half of every day, pretty much whenever we had a chance. Now, of course, if other coworkers came by, we would switch back to English, but I actually made it a professional goal and told my boss at the same time that, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help out our Spanish speaking students and their parents when they came in. And so the other part I think that helped in this journey was being able to make some tangible goals. At my job, we talk about having SMART goals. They need to be specific, they need to be measurable. And so I gave myself a year to where I said, I will be one of the go-to people where you can send people to me, and I will be able to do that. With that deadline, it really gave me like, okay, I really have to work on it. Because there were some days where I really didn't want to speak in Spanish all the time because it was work. I found me a radio station to listen to because I really found out I really needed to immerse myself. So my coworker and I, the one who was learning with me, we found out what our goals were. Her goal was to go back to a restaurant that she went to where the people did not speak English, and so she wanted to go there. And this is what I'll say is very important to see what your goal is. Mine was professional and personal. Professional because I want to be able to be a bilingual person for a lot of because the way I want to go in my career is going to be an asset, not just for who I can reach, but just for those people. That way they can get help that they need or want. But for her, once we actually went to the place and she was able to actually order in Spanish, slowly the decline, and that was probably, it may have been about 4 or 5, 6 months when she fell off, and she had achieved her goal, and it wasn't as important anymore, so she wasn't studying as much. And so I kind of backed off of she and I being accountability partners and kept up with my bilingual coworker. The other thing besides those pieces was that as a Black woman in the U.S., it's not a lot of people that I could find that had the same passion as me. And I say passion because some people are like, oh, I want to do that, and that's where it stays. But for me, it was like, no, I really am going to make this goal work. And so I said, hey, I need a squad. I need a team of people that can keep me lifted, encouraged. And so I, besides the YouTube videos, I went on Facebook and found quite a few groups, excuse me, that when I was able to get on there, that was my tribe. They were the other young ladies or guys and girls for another group where they looked like me and they had similar goals, whether they were learning Spanish or other languages. And we were largely from the U.S., but even some from outside the U.S. And it was a safe space for us to be who we are. That way we could be able to share our goals as it related to language. And so I think those are some of the main things that have allowed me to get to the point of fluency. I may try to make this video in Spanish, I'm not sure, but it'd probably be much longer if I did. But what am I doing now? So I went from being an academic advisor to now I've always been a licensed social worker, but now I'm actually a school social worker. Still in the Texas area, now in the Dallas area, and I'm just in awe of what I'm Christian, of what God has allowed to happen. I really have prayed for this opportunity, and so I'm just relishing in it. And so this opportunity is where I get to speak Spanish more. I'm pushed to the limit and really having to learn new things and having new goals come out out of it. And so I'm speaking Spanish probably weekly, even though I don't have my coworker here. We still communicate, via text, and that's still in Spanish. There's some other things I probably have done. I got some other some other apps that I use besides Duolingo that I use just to try to keep up. I'm really bad at keeping a routine because I'm also a mom, and I'm just going through a lot of different changes in life, and so it's so many transitions. So it's hard for me to get a routine and really stick to it because it's a balancing act. But yeah, it's really a lot of things about figuring out what is my goal, what am I trying to do. That way you can cater your studying to that. So I know sometimes people say study grammar. Yeah, I study it somewhat here and there. The tenses are the things that throw me off all the time. But some secrets that really help and keep me going that I'll add is that, remember, no one's perfect. Just even right now as I'm speaking, I'm not speaking perfect English. I don't care to speak perfect English. Maybe for presentation, but even then I'm okay with speaking African American vernacular English because it's a dialect. The other secret is realizing that when I was listening to Spanish, a lot of it was not what I was reading word from word. And realizing, in a lot of the Caribbean Spanish, they cut off certain words just like we do in AAVE, or what we say, Ebonics. That was going on in Spanish. And when I knew that, it was like, yes, I understood more because I was listening more and understood the rhythm to it, understood the culture a little bit more, understood that there's certain phrases, like, for example, por ejemplo, es like we say spill the beans, like, hey, I'm gonna sip some tea, tell me what's the juice and all that. But in Spanish, I think that's like suelta la sopa. Those are certain things that I learned that, okay, I can't say the same thing, but I can understand a little bit more about the culture. So I think when you understand the culture more, it really does help deepen that to where it's just not just a language that you're listening to. And so that's really kind of the history of how I learned Spanish, and I'm planning on to continue it. And as the 2-year celebration of me learning, I actually went to Panama a month ago for a week during my spring break just to go. And my passport is ready for more stamps, is all I can say. But it was really good to kind of pinpoint some things and still keep that fire growing, and just knowing that I will continue to learn. I don't have to be perfect, but can I communicate? That was the other tip. Can I communicate? And yes, I can. So yes, se habla español, and it's me. And te despido. Adiós. Chao. Nos vemos.